Welcome into the DNVR Rockies Podcast. I'm your host, Patrick Lyons, and on today's show, we've got two fantastic interviews with Jordan McPherson of the Miami Herald, where we're going to talk all about the Miami Marlins. 24-24 Miami Marlins, they're playing .500 baseball in a very difficult NL East. And we've also got Casey Katofsky of the Northern Colorado Owlz. You may have heard about them before, but they're a professional baseball team here in Colorado for the Pioneer League, and they open up a brand new stadium. The first stadium opened up in Colorado since, Coors Field, believe it or not. So that will be a wonderful conversation with him coming up here on the show. But right off the bat, I think the through line all throughout this 2023 season for the Rockies is really about 2024 and 2025, the young guys in the minor leagues, in addition to what the guys on the big league team are doing right now. But in the minors, you gotta tip your cap to some of the young guys that are doing it in a real major way in the Rockies minor league right now, because it seems like every single week you've got 2 or 3 players or pitchers of the week in the Rockies system, and they've been doing it really big. It's one of the reasons why the Rockies have such an improved farm system right now across all 30 teams. Ryan Ritter, great shortstop prospect, was the California League Player of the Week this last week. Across 6 games for the Fresno Grizzlies, he batted .500, 12 for 24, 3 homers, 3 doubles, 8 RBI, and just he's now 3rd in home runs. Not bad for a shortstop. Again, he was a 4th-round pick out of Kentucky last year in that much-vaunted 2022 draft class for the Rockies. He's been playing fantastic, and so has Mike Honcho, or is it Honcho Mike? Let us know in the chat. Which one is? It's Jordan Beck, man. He skipped right over Low A Fresno. He's doing it with Spokane right now. His 2nd Northwest League Player of the Week award this month. That's right. He's done it twice. So has Ritter. He did it at the end of April. Beck did it at the beginning of May, and here now in the 3rd week of May, the 22-year-old slashed .455 with a .586 on-base percentage against Northwest League pitching, 3 doubles, 3 homers, 6 RBI. He might be really close to getting that promotion to Double-A Hartford. It'll be very interesting to see if maybe the Rockies are waiting to promote Zach Veen up to Triple-A before they bring Beck up. I mean, Beck and Veen together in that clubhouse, the swagger for the Yard Goats at that point would be very much off the charts. So that will be very interesting. Could Beck overtake Veen as far as being one of the top outfield prospects? I think Beck does have a way to go to do that. But that kind of competition in-house is incredibly healthy. Rockies starting pitching, looking a little bit healthier day by day, especially after the win on Monday night, a 5-3 victory over the Miami Marlins. Chase Anderson, 5 2/3 innings pitched, only gave up 2 earned runs. He now has a 1.69 ERA in his 2 starts with Colorado. So a veteran guy, 35 years old. Sure, picked up off of waivers, off the scrap heap. Another team kind of saying, hey, we don't need this guy, or he's not one of our best 40. He's definitely one of the best 40 for the Rockies right now, and he's pitching really well. Jurickson Profar contributed to that offense in that leadoff spot, extended his on-base streak to 30 games. That's where the Rockies got him to hit leadoff. He struggled a little bit, dropped down to the bottom of the order. I think we're going to start seeing him a lot more at the top, setting the table, especially when he's got a .418 on-base percentage since May 7th. He was 2 for 4 last night with 2 doubles, 2 RBI, playing really well. His 3rd game of the season with 2 extra base hits, all of them since May 9th. Elias Diaz, the all-star, first all-star catcher in Rockies history. Look, he's still doing the damn thing. He went 2 for 3 last night with a double, a homer, 2 RBI, and a walk. He's batting .333 this season. 3rd best in all of MLB. Listen to that. 3rd best in all of MLB. Not 3rd best for a catcher. Not 3rd best for a catcher in the National League. 3rd best in the game right now. Elias Diaz, definite front runner for All-Star this year for the Colorado Rockies. Maybe even starting catcher. I don't know, some of those teams in bigger markets like in Atlanta, Sean Murphy, they're going to get a lot more love from MLB voters than Elias Diaz, but still, Diaz in the conversation now to be an all-star. And Brenton Doyle, a guy who's in the conversation, I think for Rookie of the Year, or at least amongst the top 3 best rookies in baseball, especially when you consider the fact that he stole a base last night. Again, his 7th of the season. He's now tied for 12th most stolen bases in the National League, despite the fact he's played in just 23 games this year. Unbelievable. Garrett Hampson, of the Marlins. Yes, he's back. Looking forward to seeing him today at the ballpark. First time back at Coors Field since latching on with the Miami Marlins. He went 1-for-4 in his return to Coors Field. And again, the buzz right now obviously is all about the Denver Nuggets, and rightfully so. Very funny. Last night, in communicating with Susie, apparently everybody in the Denver media had to wait about 20 minutes for the post-game conversation with Bud Black, the TV, AT&T Sportsnet. They got out of there because they didn't feel like waiting around long enough. They've got things that they need to do, so you understand that. But waiting 20 minutes because the Rockies and Bud Black and the coaching staff, they were all watching the end of that Nuggets-Lakers game. Nuggets getting the deal done. Getting it done in 4 games, finishing off the sweep. Bud Black did text head coach Michael Malone, congratulating him, but he even said that, the clubhouse got really loud there for a second, right as the buzzer went off, right when Jokic hit that big, clutch shot, the silly shot, as I've heard some people call it. So just absolutely fantastic. Tonight, got to make sure you're watching the Rockies because Marlins have a really special pitcher, and we're going to be hearing about that with Jordan McPherson here in a second. 20-year-old Eury Pérez. He will be the youngest starting pitcher in Coors Field history, just barely turned 20 years old only a few weeks ago. He is one of the 5 youngest, the youngest, of course. When you look at the top 5 guys, a lot of them are, all but one are from the NL West, naturally so. They've got more opportunities, so some of it could be coincidental. But when you think about the names of the 5 youngest guys before Eury Pérez tonight, they are all basic luminaries as far as starting pitchers. 5th youngest, Madison Bumgarner. Great one right there. 4th youngest, Oliver Perez. I feel like we mentioned him recently. He did that with the Padres. Again, all of these guys were 20 years old. Julio Urias, 3rd youngest, still doing it. He feels like he's been around for forever. He's going to be a free agent at the end of this year. That will be interesting to see if the Dodgers can hold on to their top guy. 2nd youngest is a guy that has hit a lot of home runs in his career, Rick Ankiel. He couldn't stick around as a pitcher. He had to go to the outfield and ended up, he was kind of a Shohei Ohtani guy that wasn't able to link the two together, the hitting and the pitching. But after he left the game, came back as a hitter doing big things. And then 1st youngest, he's now number 2 on the list because of Eury Pérez. But previously, before today, Clayton Kershaw was the youngest pitcher. The interesting thing is that only Oliver Perez was able to lead their team to victory at Coors Field when they made this start. So history says, Eury Pérez, you might fare pretty well tonight, but the Marlins will lose tonight. You're probably wondering, hey, who are the youngest Rockies pitchers to ever start a game at Coors Field? Let's run down that list real quick. Chinwe Sao. Yes, you might remember that name. He was 22 years old in 53 days. Jhoulys Chacin was the 4th youngest. Herman Marquez, Franklin Morales, and the youngest, Jamie Wright at 21 years and 201 days. It's going to be a while, I think, until somebody debuts younger than that. I don't think there's anybody in the system right now. Rockies have very few pitchers that are even younger than 21 years old right now just in their system. So that's going to be a definite hard record to break, but will be an interesting one to keep an eye on, especially as we get closer to the 2023 MLB Draft and whether or not the Rockies possibly select a high school pitcher. But make sure you're heading down here to the DNVR bar on the corner of Colfax in New York, where, this place, it still sounds loud from the vibe last night at the watch party for Game 4. If you can't get a ticket to Ball Arena or you can't get a ticket down in Miami or Boston, it probably will be Miami, you can come here. Baby Ball. This is the next best place to watch a game if you can't get into Ball Arena. A lot more affordable, especially if you're a diehard. Get yourself signed up at thednvr.com. You get 15% off your food and drink. You get 20% off all the gear that we've got at dnvrlocker.com, 20% off on all of the tailgates and takeovers that we have going on. We've got one coming up on June 10th. You hear, I don't know if you heard about this news, but you might get excited. Padres, Rockies, Padres, and it's a day game. Welcoming back, quotes, we'll put quotes around welcoming back Fernando Tatis Jr.
Unfortunately, I really like Tatis and the Padres, and I hate how much I like them. So it's actually going to be really fun.
Do you hate Machado or you like him?
I'm a Machado guy.
You are a Machado guy. Okay.
Yeah, I love people that have edge to them, and he's one of those dudes that have edge but can back it up.
Yeah, we were talking about this during a meeting yesterday that the 2 probably most hated guys for the Rockies right now are probably Machado, Tatis, but to your point, they're also likable as well, too. So that's going to be fun. June 10th, again, 20% off when you are signed up and you're a diehard over at thednvr.com. You're going to get 50% off 2 or more pairs of shady raised glasses when you head over to the Park Meadows Mall. If you're not any, guess what? Just use code DNVR, and when you go to shadyrays.com, the best independent sunglass company around, take my word for it, you can get a buy one, get one free offer. So, big brewery that we've got here in the area. It's made with 100% renewable energy, 100% Colorado ingredients, made by Coloradans for everybody. You can get it in a lot of different places. If you're not sure where you can get it in the Rocky Mountain region or in Canada or on the East Coast or West Coast, head over to breckbrew.com to the Breck Brew locator. Find out where you can get some Avalanche Ale because it's absolutely delicious. Again, the beer locator, head over to breckbrew.com to find a brew near you. Super excited to talk about this Marlins Rockies matchup with Jordan McPherson from the Miami Herald. Jordan, the Miami Marlins, they are kind of interesting right now, aren't they?
Yeah, they really are. I mean, it's a team that I don't think has fully reached a level of playing ability that they can with this roster, but they're finding ways to eke out wins. I mean, they're winning just about every one-run game they have. Their starting pitching hasn't fully reached its potential, and the offense, it seems like while they're not scoring in bunches, when they do score, it's timely. So they're finding ways to compete, and they're staying in the thick of it in the NL East, which we all thought was going to be a gauntlet. And yeah, they've impressed so far a quarter of the way through the season.
Yeah, obviously that 2020 year was just such an anomaly, but there was definitely some evidence there that, look, if you're good enough, long enough, you can kind of keep that momentum going. And as you said, with all the juggernauts in the NL East, I think the Marlins definitely were counted out. I think everyone had them as better than the Washington Nationals. But to be right now where they're at in the standings, I think has probably been a best case scenario for everyone in Southern Florida.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, they've more or less won every series that isn't against a team named the Atlanta Braves or the New York Mets. They've won all but 2 series against the teams that weren't those two. And if they keep doing that, they're going to be able to make some noise and keep turning some heads.
All right, we got to talk about 20-year-old Eury Pérez. Wow, is going to be the youngest pitcher to ever start a game at Coors Field. So that's going to be pretty exciting anytime you break a record by a guy like Clayton Kershaw, who's destined for the Hall of Fame, it seems like. Just what can you say about this guy? I mean, the list can go on and on and on, but you're seeing it up close and personal.
Yeah, I mean, he's 2 starts in. He just turned 20 a little over a month ago, and his stuff's legit. I mean, fastball that sits in the upper 90s, touches 100, changeup that hits 90 to 92, has a couple breaking balls in his slider and his curveball. Sounds sort of like a guy who won the National League Cy Young last year, except he has about 3 inches on him in Sandy Alcantara, who is actually became his mentor last offseason. The two work out together for the most part all offseason in South Florida. And he's still raw. Eury Pérez, he's still raw, which is to be expected of a 20-year-old who had 45 starts in the minors throughout his career before coming up here. He's still there. The Marlins are easing him in, which is to be expected with a prospect as highly ranked as him. He's never thrown more than 90 pitches in the game. He's never gone farther than 6 innings. So just how much they let him loose is to be determined, but they're going to be monitoring him start to start to see where he goes. And I'm interested to see how much they let him go and how much they are going to challenge him with, of course, also trying to make sure that they don't compromise his future. It's obviously it's a tightrope they have to balance, but 2 starts in, he's looked the part and looking forward to start number 3 in Denver and beyond.
Yeah, he's been electric. And as you said, Alcantara being the mentor and being there for the video to say, hey, looking forward to seeing you in Miami. Obviously, that was a cool moment. Alcantara has not been himself. It seems like his first start, right? He dominated. And then since then, he's kind of struggled a little bit. Probably no real major concerns. Anytime you're a Cy Young Award winner and you have a couple of hiccups, you're due to bounce back.
Yeah, I mean, he's had, of his 9 starts, he's had 2 really good ones, a complete game shutout against the Twins, and then one of his past starts against his start in Chicago against the Cubs, he went into the 9th inning and then gave up a couple runs there. The Marlins ended up needing to go 14 for that game. That's beside the point. But his other starts, he hasn't looked like himself. His changeup hasn't been as effective as it usually is. That's usually one of his out pitches, and he's not getting ground balls, which he's a contact pitcher, and if you're a contact pitcher and you're giving up low line drives, it's going to come back to bite you. So he's still figuring it out. He's working with pitching coach Mel Stoudemire Jr. to figure out something, whether it's mechanical or whether it's pitch sequencing or whatnot. But it just seems like it's a matter of time before he figures it out. And once that flip switches with Sandy, he ended up going on a roll. That's what happened last year. He started, I think it was in the middle of month 2 last year, where he went on that big run from one start through the end of the All-Star break, where he gave up less than 2 runs and went 6 or 7 innings every single outing into the All-Star break. It feels like he's due for a run like that to start. It's just a matter of when that run is going to start.
Yeah, so many of those, classic starting pitchers, they would save their best bullets for late in the game. It doesn't surprise me. We've seen a lot of pitchers, do that, where early on in the season they're thinking about August and September and July even, and kind of saving some of those bullets. So I could very much see that being the case for Alcantara. On the flip side of on pitching, I mean, Luis Arias has kind of established himself as almost an MVP, a National League MVP candidate. He's been incredibly impressive leading the lineup so far this season.
Yeah, he has, and it's fun to watch how Luis Arias just approaches in the bat. It's like he walks up to the plate, he looks and sees how the defense's line goes. Okay, I'm going to find a way to get the ball here, and does it. It's just how he can manipulate the bat, how he can manipulate his swing, and just find a way to get on base. Even when he doesn't get on base, finds ways to make productive outs. It's just been so key to this lineup, and it's something that this team has been missing for the last few years. And it's why when the Marlins traded for him, obviously they sent a big piece away in Pablo Lopez and a couple big prospects, but they needed a guy like Luis Arias in this lineup. And I like what they're doing batting him third, especially when they had Jazz, who's obviously on the IL right now, but having him and a power hitter, whether it's Jorge Soler, Garrett Cooper in the 1 and 2, get a couple guys on base, and then you bring Luis Arias up and he's going to get a base hit. That should be an automatic run early. I like the approach with that, and to see how they're working him and working the lineup to best maximize their chances to get runs whenever they're able to. And Luis Arias is obviously a big part of that.
Yeah, the similarities between him and Rod Carew with being traded after winning a batting title, the bat manipulation, as you said, to be able to just hit him where they ain't is incredibly impressive. I don't think the Twins came through to Colorado for me to see him play. So that'll be exciting tonight, as everybody saw last night as well on Monday. But you talk about that trade with the Twins. It seems like the Marlins are definitely one of those organizations that don't mind the old school baseball trade, a challenge trade, right? You got Lopez for Arias, essentially. We saw it a couple years ago with Jazz Chisholm for Zach Gallen. They just seem to be confident in their ability that we're going to be getting more than we're giving up. And they're just ultimately, not afraid to make a big move like that. They need to.
Correct. And you got to credit Kim Ng for doing that, because, I mean, obviously Kim wasn't there for the Zach Gallen, Jazz Chisholm one, but for the Pablo Lopez, for Luis Arias. And then if you look at a couple of the ones that they swung with Oakland, trading Starling Marte to get Jesus Luzardo, who obviously has started to pan out. He's become the number 2 in the rotation. Trading a prospect in JJ Bleday to get AJ Puck, who established himself as their closer this year. They know that if they need a move that is going to better them for today, and they have the mechanism to make it work, they're going to do it. They're going to find whatever they have to. And obviously everyone on the outside looks at them and goes, it's the Marlins. They're going to be 4th in the East. Why are they trying to make the moves? But then if they don't make the moves, everyone's going, well, why are you guys not making moves? Why aren't you trying to compete? So now they're actually showing, especially with what they did this past offseason with the Arias trade, the Puck trade, even getting Matt Barnes for Richard Blyer with the Red Sox. That was basically just a 1-for-1 swap there as well. And that gave them another righty high leverage guy in their bullpen. They've figured out what they need to do and what works for them to be successful. And they've figured out ways to maximize their present. And they also haven't really compromised their future too much either. They haven't really dipped into their prospect pool outside of Jose Salas going in with Pablo for the Minnesota Twins trade for Arias. But they're finding ways to maximize what they have with their current roster. And they still have some pretty good talent out in the minors as well for the future and to move things along after the season.
Yeah, we haven't compared notes yet, but I was curious what you had down in South Florida on the very, very, very brief conversation about Brendan Rodgers for Edward Cabrera. Again, Marlins would be willing to trade a big leaguer for a big leaguer. and even a guy that has upside like Cabrera. I don't think those conversations, went very far. But with the Rockies, of course, needing pitching, and at a certain point, you guys needed maybe a second baseman and a guy like Rogers. Was there anything more than just maybe a quick suggestion that was made between two GMs?
Yeah, I don't think there was too much with that one, mainly because when you look at the rotation with Sandy at the top, Luzardo at 2, Edward Cabrera was one of those players that they felt if he's able to reach his potential, he has top end of the rotation potential, and he very likely to be the 3 or 4 on the staff. So if they could have someone of his talent, it was going to take a lot more probably than that in order to swing that trade. And again, when it goes back to what we saw with the Twins trade, Pablo Lopez, as great of a person as he is, as great as last season was, he did have that track record of the injury history. So with the Marlins being able to swing a trade for a guy who also, again, you got to look at control as well. Pablo only had 2 more years of control. Edward Cabrera is just entering his 2nd full year. So 5 years of team control for a top quality starting pitcher, that's asking a lot for the Marlins, who have had to have gotten a lot in return in order for them to contemplate swinging that trade.
How much of the success, because I know if you look at run differential, it's very lopsided. As you said, they're winning the close games and then getting blown out in so many of the losses. But how much has Jorge Soler been able to kind of be a big part of that offense in getting them where they're at right now?
Yeah, he's been great, especially the last couple weeks. He's had, I think it's over his last 2 weeks, he has 6 home runs and I think 14 or 15 RBI. When he's going, again, it's just one swing of the bat and he can completely change the game. So, and that's what the Marlins were looking for when they signed him the offseason ahead of the 2022 season. They were looking for a power bat in the middle of the lineup. When he was healthy last year, he was on a 30 home run pace, but the back injury, he was limited to only about 70 games last year and didn't play anything after the end of June. So to be able to have him in the lineup swinging well, along with a contact guy in Luis Arraez either before or after him in the lineup, you're getting the production. The Marlins are getting the production they were hoping to get from him. And he's been swinging the bat well the last 2 weeks, 11 home runs total on the season. And he's leading the Marlins just about every key category, RBI, run scored. I think Arraez just has a lead on him in OPS, but that's mainly because of the batting average versus the power. Jorge Soler has been a big power contribution to this lineup.
I do want to ask you about a couple of those trades. Was the Blade for AJ Puck deal, again, stroke of genius for the Marlins there? They just thought the outfield was a little bit cluttered. Have they kind of just seen too many flaws in Blade and just said, let's sell maybe while the stock is a little bit higher?
I think it was a combination of both. I mean, you look at what the outfield is, especially once they moved Jazz to center field. You had Jazz Chisholm Jr., Avisail Garcia, Brian De La Cruz, Jesus Sanchez, Jorge Soler getting some time out there as well. That's already 5 guys. So no matter what, Blade, barring injuries in spring training, Blade was not going to crack the opening day roster. And then you look at some of their depth. They have Peyton Burdick. They have Gerard Encarnacion. They got Jake Mangum from the Mets in one of their smaller offseason trades. They have a lot of outfield pieces. And then you compare that to AJ Puck, 5 years team control, closer potential, lefty who throws in the upper 90s with a breaking ball that gets swings and misses. Again, it was a matter of trading a prospect who has high potential, no doubt. JJ Blade, I can see him having a successful career, but he wasn't going to be cracking the big league roster with the Marlins this season. AJ Puck was, and again, once he's in there and if he's able to establish himself, Puck could be a closer for this team for a while. So being able to get the instant production for a guy who, while talented, wasn't going to be impacting the team this season, it makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does. And I think that flipping Starling Marte, it seems like they didn't really have to give up very much to get him in the first place. And then you bring back a relatively local guy, like 45 minutes north of Miami, in Jesus Luzardo. He's really started to, come into his own and pitch like that top prospect that he really was kind of deemed to be coming up. And I imagine being home and being closer to home has probably, been a big part of that success as well.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, he grew up a Marlins fan. He was in the stands for the 2003 World Series. He knows what Marlins baseball looks like when it's successful. And you're right, the Marlins barely had to trade much to get him. When you look back at the beginning of it, they got Starling Marte for Caleb Smith and Humberto Mejia. So to be able to flip Starling Marte, who again was going to be a free agent, so the plan was they knew they weren't going to make a playoff run that year, so get something instead of getting nothing, and they ended up working. Jesus Rosario ended up working. That 2021 season was a real struggle once they got him immediately after the trade, but the Marlins understood that. Their thought process was let him stay up here, let him struggle up here while our major league staff is watching him in person, and then this way they can start figuring out what adjustments need to be made in the moment and throughout the offseason instead of just relying on video. Last season, he had a breakout season. The only thing that really hampered him was the forearm strain where he missed 2.5 months. Other than that, he was basically dominant the entire season, and we're seeing it again this year. I mean, from spring training through the World Baseball Classic through the first 2 months of the season, he's looked like a top of the rotation guy, and he probably would be if Sandy Alcantara wasn't the team's ace.
Yeah, such different organizational philosophies between the Marlins and Rockies. But the 93 expansion teams, man, the locking horns. Marlins don't have horns, so they're locking something. I'm not sure what they are.
Yeah, you got the bill. You got the notes for the Marlin. You got that. They can be locking out. We'll figure that out.
Yeah. We'll get those details worked out. Go ahead and plug away where folks can find you on the Miami Herald or at least on Twitter for all the really great Marlins content that you got going out.
Yeah, so MiamiHerald.com/sports. All of my content goes there. Basically 2 to 3 stories a day, and then on Twitter at J_McPherson1126.
Jordan, thanks so much for joining us. See you at the ballpark.
Thanks, Patrick.
Man, Jordan definitely makes the Marlins sound pretty good. I mean, they're at 500 right now and battling in the NL East. The American Raptors, they are battling in a major way in the Super Rugby Americas competition. You should have heard about them by now, especially if you listen to this show. Head over to AmericanRaptors.com and learn more about a rugby team we've got right in our backyard at Infinity Park in Glendale. It's an amazing time. It's a great place to bring out the kids, especially since tickets are just $10. Children 12 and under are free. And if you can't make it, you can actually watch all of the American Raptors matches live on ESPN Plus. And be sure to stop here at the bar on May 27th. It's coming up. What day of the week is that? Is that Friday? Saturday? All right, Saturday, team's season finale watch party. They take on Cobras Brazil at 12 p.m. So noon, do a little brunch and rugby. That sounds pretty good to me. It's American Raptors and AmericanRaptors.com. If you want to stop by somewhere along the way at Illegal Pete's, that's obviously a good choice. The graduates, man, you got to make sure you are catering with Illegal Pete's. They do that really well. And because spring is here and it's absolutely gorgeous out, weather is perfect. I'm dreading summer because spring is so nice. I'm hanging out on the patio of Illegal Pete's. We've got one right here, couple blocks down on Colfax. It's amazing because they've got something going on with their patio beers. You kick off the spring with the house beer bucket for you and your whole crew. It's 5 refreshing 16-ounce beers for only $15. Doesn't get any better than that. It's Illegal Pete's. It's your go-to spot for burritos, beers, and buddies. Super excited to have Casey Katofsky, General Manager of the Northern Colorado Owlz, in the house. How's it going today, Casey?
What's going on, Patrick? Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I needed to have you on today. It's a big day in the history of not only the Northern Colorado Owlz, of course, but, professional baseball in Colorado. You guys have your opening day game tonight at 7:05 at Future Legends Complex. Just a passion project that you guys you finally got it off the ground and running, and tonight's a big one against the Rocky Mountain Vibes.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. And again, thanks for having us. Big fan of the show. We're super excited to finally bring professional baseball to Northern Colorado, to Windsor, to this community. The complex has been a passion project, to your point, for a long time, almost 20 years. We have owned the Northern Colorado Owlz previously as the Orem Owls since 2004. They were previously affiliated with the Angels. Now they're affiliated with Major League Baseball. Bringing this community professional sports alongside the Colorado Eagles, the hockey team here, with the Hailstorm and the Owls, is exciting for a community that's been so hungry for it.
Yeah, that's what's so amazing too is obviously Denver is the main hub, and for a while Colorado Springs, they had the Golden Kings for hockey, and obviously the Sky Sox for a while now, the Vibes, and it's really cool that Northern Colorado is being put on the map in that way with that entire Fort Collins region, because I know some people in baseball that they've had some exploratory committees and looked and said, hey, Northern Colorado is really ripe for wanting professional sports as well as youth sports, because obviously the start of the Northern Colorado Owlz tonight on Tuesday is huge for the Owls organization. But there's a much bigger project for anyone that doesn't know. Give them a little taste of everything going on in the bubble, as well as what's to come with the dormitories and what have you at the Future Legends complex.
Yeah, absolutely. We are an all-encompassing sports and entertainment complex that's being built. What Future Legends is this larger type of complex that combines youth sports, professional sports, hospitality, the dorm usage, the hotels, the restaurants that we have. And so we're essentially building a smaller city in a weird way that's dedicated to sports and entertainment. We have a bubble dome that you mentioned, one of the 3 biggest bubble domes this world's ever seen. 16 volleyball, 9 basketball, full-length indoor pitch for soccer, football, indoor baseball, softball, you name it. It's exciting to be able to bring some of these national tournaments, bigger events, concerts, along with the professional sports that we've been talking about. And I know you mentioned as well the process of coming to Northern Colorado. This was a long time to get to an area like this. We were looking for a long time of where to go. We didn't own the stadium in Orem. And so we knew that eventually one day we'd like to have our own private facility. We'd like to build all this extra stuff that we're building now. So as you mentioned, this is such a coveted market for so many different reasons, and it's been untapped relatively over the last 40, 50 years. And now that it's grown into what it's grown into, everyone wants to be a part of it. There's a really easy way to describe why people want to live here. It's beautiful. The education is great. The outdoor activity is incredible. The food is good. There's always stuff to do. And so this was our top choice. And once we came here, it has proven itself every worth that we thought it would in the beginning.
Yeah, as you said, Colorado obviously is such a huge destination. We've seen, the population grow here in the state over the last decade or so, and it's kind of one of the reasons why the Rockies do so well attendance-wise, is because that's usually at the top of people's list when they're going somewhere on vacation and they choose Colorado. They got to make sure that they go to Coors Field and check that out once. The cool thing with Future Legends Complex is now, they'll be able to do that. They'll be able to take the drive 1 hour down to Coors Field, but now they'll be able to join, their travel soccer team, maybe travel basketball, and certainly travel baseball up to Windsor, Colorado, and really kind of own a piece of Colorado for more than just one day, for an entire weekend, a week even, staying at the dormitories, and really making Northern Colorado just a focal point for youth sports in general. And I'm really excited to see how this continues to grow, because really this is only year 2, I believe, pretty much, right?
Yeah, we like to call it year 0 at the end of the day too, with all the construction going on. But essentially, yes, it's the second year that we've done stuff.
Yeah, that's been so fantastic. For anyone that doesn't know, the Pioneer League, where the Northern Colorado Owlz plays, is an incredible league. It's one of the best independent leagues in America, as evidenced by the fact that there's only a few MLB partner leagues, that kind of get that vote of confidence that, hey, this is really quality baseball. A lot of the players that come out of the partner leagues also end up going into the minor league system and could potentially play in the big league. So while it might not have the same connections as the Owls did with the Angels, and the Vibes with the Brewers, and the Grand Junction Rockies with the Rockies, it's still a top quality league now that the minor leagues has been shrunk down to only 120 teams. For anyone that doesn't know, talk about the quality of talent that still exists in the Pioneer League to this day.
A ton of talent. And Patrick, we appreciate you bringing this up. And it is important as well. Recently, when we acquired Grand Junction as a part of Future Legends, it's nice to be able to kind of expand in the state of Colorado. Grand Junction has built a fan base over the last decade. And they just won the championship last year. And so changing them from the Rockies to the Jackalopes was super exciting for us as well. We'll get to that in a little bit. But in general, the minor league system of baseball is so complicated now. It's very difficult to explain to people that are just now learning in this area what professional sports are. And so that movement of what players that we have now, people wonder, are these still top talent or top tier type of talent players? are these guys that are going to go in the major leagues? And the answer is yes. These is very talented players that we have. We are looking at a draft model that went from 50 rounds to 40 rounds, now to 10 rounds. And so all that talent that we're used to with at least 40 rounds, that's 30 rounds of people that aren't getting drafted anymore. They're being signed by different teams. They're trying to go play overseas. They're trying to play in different areas that they can. And we're the different areas that they can. And so we had that same top tier level talent where there are so many guys that we've had when we were affiliated to the Angels. We had 112 people, I believe, that went from us to the major leagues at one point in a 15-year stretch. And so that talent wasn't just top 10 round players. A lot of those were 10 round and below. And so if that answers the question a little bit, we're still getting the same type of talent, but also the vigor of a lot of players that are very hungry. They're very motivated. They want to prove themselves, and they also like to have a good time. And so that's what's important as well, is you've seen minor league sports turn into this entertainment, I guess, type of talent show, right? The Savannah Bananas are kind of more of an extreme example, but they're clearly very successful in what they do. But people go to a minor league sporting event, not just for the talent, but to have a good time and to have a cheaper ticket and to see in between inning activities and to have a different experience than you would at a Rockies game. And so we like to be able to bring that with the same type of talent and just a newer, fresher perspective.
And probably with parking, that's way less than, $40 a parking spot, right?
Tickets are, lower than $25 for the best seat in the house. So, yes, we like to joke you can't go to a Broncos game nowadays for a family of four for less than $1,000. And so for this game, you got a $100 bill. You're bringing a family of four. Everybody's eating. You're parking. Everything is pretty much good to go. You can't even go to the movie theaters nowadays for that.
Yeah, it sounds like an affordable season ticket too, above that, beyond all that. And as you mentioned, the entertainment factor in the minor leagues and independent is incredibly high. But even the games themselves are entertaining. We saw MLB and the new rules that they've got going on. You in the Pioneer League did something last year that hadn't been done yet, and it was. I'm not going to say it was a year early, but you guys are a bit of a visionaries and saying, hey, wait a minute, Major League Baseball might be changing their rules, so we're going to maybe tweak our rules a little bit, make it more entertaining. The runner on second base is nice in the 10th inning. You guys do things a little bit different and let people know what kind of fun stuff can happen after the 9th inning should the game be tied.
I'm glad you brought that up. It's one of my favorite parts of what we're doing now. And I'll preface this. I am a baseball historian. I've played my entire life. My family's been a part of baseball my entire life. So I respect the history and the precedent that baseball has created. But we do like the wackier ideas. We do like to be able to change stuff without reinventing the wheel too much. But we do a home run showdown instead of extra innings where you get 5 swings and the person that hits the most home runs wins the game. And on top of that, that sounds cool enough as it is. Anybody can do it. So last year, I think we did it. I don't know the exact number of how many times we did it, but we did it a couple times where we would have pitchers and bullpen pitchers that would never swing a bat otherwise playing these home run showdowns to decide the game. And that makes the fans super interested. It keeps the games shorter, but it also adds that cooler element for what it's worth, the Instagrammable moments, the social media aspect of the games now. But on top of that, it's just pretty cool. It's pretty cool to see something different that everyone can understand. Most people, if not everybody, understands what a home run is. And so you're not having to explain that much. You get 5 swings, you hit as many homers as you can, you're good to go.
Yeah, I love that. That's such a great concept for again, a league that anyone that says, yeah, but why aren't these guys playing for the Hartford Yardbirds or Durham Bulls? There's an element too of some of these players they've been cast off because of injuries, just kind of been unfortunate. And they just need to get themselves healthy. And then once they are, you are going to see them back in the system, and you're going to see them, in the major league. So again, just I can't speak enough about the talent of the players on the field, but also the talent in the dugout. You guys named Frank Gonzalez as your manager for 2023. Colorado coaching luminary, really. Everywhere he's gone, he's had success and has been a winner, from the CSU club team to Fort Collins High School to the entire Rockies organization as a pitching coach. Most recently last year with the Albuquerque Isotopes in AAA.
We are unbelievably excited to have Frank on the team. He is a great man. He's a great father. He cares a lot about this community. He also knows what it takes to get to that higher level. He has obviously children that have reached the higher level, one of them of which is still playing at the highest level that you can. So he gets it. He's also just a nice guy to be around. He's someone that cares, again, so much about what we're doing, about this community. He lives here in Northern Colorado. And so you take all the prowess aside of what he's accomplished on the field, The off the field stuff is such a bonus to us as well. On the field, he wants to win. He's got more rings on, or more fingers that he needs rings on, that we'd like to win. And so we are putting together a very talented group. He runs, I would say, a relatively tight ship, but he's also a player's coach at the same time. You can have a balance. I kind of relate it to a Joe Madden type of coach. So he's someone that really cares about the fundamentals, about someone that some things that are important to the history of baseball, as we talked about, but also transforming it into this more progressive style. And so we're extremely excited to have Frank on the team and the rest of the coaching staff as well. I agree with the fact that I have more fingers to put rings on.
Yeah, Frank obviously has had so much success developing players as a coach. Coaches can very much be like father figures or mother figures to players. And as you mentioned, his son, Marco Gonzalez, left-handed pitcher for the Seattle Mariners, he quite literally knows what it means to be a father of a big leaguer. Great guy. Got a chance to spend a little bit more time with him this past offseason at the Friends of Baseball or the Breakfast of Champions event up in Greeley, which is fantastic. And he was there. He was just like talking with my dad, having a whole conversation. And, my dad got a kick out of it. And I know the Northern Colorado Owl fans are going to enjoy that as well, because that's another element I think that you and the fans themselves. And look, if there's a team in the Pioneer League you want to root for if you're a Rockies fan, I think it's the Northern Colorado Owls. You got the Frank Gonzalez connection. And you also have two pretty notable names here in Rockies history, Ryan Spilborghs as a co-founder, as well as Carlos Gonzalez as one of your partners.
Yes, we do. We're very lucky to have the partners that we have outside of my family. Spilly is one of our co-founders, as you mentioned. Spilly is an absolute hero to Rocky fans in this area. We like to give Spilly a lot of garbage for his one meaningful home run that he hit against the Giants that people still celebrate. But Spilly, same as Frank, is one of the best human beings that you're going to meet. He cares so much about this community. He cares so much about growing the sport of baseball and also the complex as well. Carlos Cargo, similar type of thing. He's someone that wants to grow the youth side of baseball as much as he can. He cares so much about the state. They treated him like family. He likes to treat them back as family. And so adding names like that to the team, not just for the prowess of saying we have those names as part of the team, but because they care a lot. They care a lot about what we're doing. They also want to be a part of it. They've known what it's like to be one of these 18, 19-year-olds trying to come up and make it. They did the same thing. They both made it, and they've got to the highest level, and now they want to share the same experience with somebody else. So we're very lucky. They're both incredible guys. And we also have other members of the team as well that we've not made public yet, but there are more Rockies. There are more MLB players, other sports players as well that are involved that we're looking forward to announcing pretty shortly.
Yeah, I love the symmetry between the start of the NOCO Owls and the 30th anniversary for the Rockies. Like it's a beautiful way. And I think for anyone that's not able to come out to the ballpark, like you said, incredibly affordable. There's an opportunity for people to go to the website and watch games there as well, right?
Absolutely. So if you go to northernColoradoOwlz.com, NOCOOwls.com, or FutureLegendsComplex.com, we have tickets available. We have streaming for every game, whether they're home or away. As you mentioned, we're going to be in Future Legends Field this year. Pretty solid capacity, really fun environment. Tickets are very inexpensive. It's pretty accessible to everywhere in Northern Colorado, not too far from Denver, not too far from Cheyenne. So the accessibility factor of both online and in person, we try to make it as present as we can.
I mean, now that I'm thinking about it and going through the numbers in my head, this would be the first professional ballpark in Colorado since Coors Field in 1995, correct?
I believe so. Yes, I believe so. I wouldn't quote me on that, but I think that's correct.
You could quote me on it because I'm pretty confident.
I'll quote you on that.
I'm the one you can quote. And two, for anyone that's saying, hey, I want to go out and check out this complex. Maybe you're not able to make it on opening day or any of the games in the opening series against the Vibes. On Saturday, there's another opening day of sorts, first game of the season for the Northern Colorado Hailstorm FC, their second season in the USL League One. Saturday, it's their first home match, off to a 1-0 start with a 2-0 win from the season opener. For anyone that enjoys the professional soccer that we have here, and again, can't make it down to Denver or afford a ticket for a Rapids game, the Hailstorm FC is where they should go at the Future Legends Complex, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, the Hailstorm, if we weren't already overzealous enough building a complex like this, we also have a professional soccer team, as you mentioned. The Hailstorm named effectively after the community that we're here. If anyone questions why we're called the Hailstorm, I invite you to come up to Northern Colorado for 2 hours in the summer. On top of that, our team this year, we played a couple games thus far. We're riding pretty high right now. We're very in the thick of things right now. We have very, very high aspirations. We have a ton of talent, a lot of international talent as well. We have some local talent, which is always cool. I believe we have 2 or 3 guys from the Northern Colorado or Front Range region, which is great. But we have very high aspirations for a championship this year. Our team is looking very good. So we invite you absolutely to come out to a professional soccer game up here as well.
We're going to have to talk off air about maybe see if I can invest in this. Maybe we can get a G League. I mean, professional pickleball's blowing up. Like, there's some more opportunities here, Casey, as if you're not busy enough.
You jest, but we have some things up our sleeve as well that you might have mentioned. So I'll say stay tuned. Make sure to follow us on Instagram and on social media. There's my shameless plug of the day.
That's it. Yeah. What are those handles too for anyone that wants to follow up?
Yes. Follow Future Legends Complex on any of the social media platforms, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, along with Northern Colorado Owlz and Northern Colorado Hailstorm. So we post regularly a lot of updates. Also, please subscribe to our newsletter for prompt information about the complex. We have a lot of really exciting things going on. And as I teased a little bit, some other big news that is about to come out to the public that's going to excite a lot of people, I would say.
Excellent. Tonight's the night, May 23rd at 7:05, Rocky Mountain Vibes and the Northern Colorado Owlz at Future Legends Complex. Make sure you take a moment to just kind of look around and take it all in and absorb it, because this is a special day for your family, for your organization, and for professional baseball in Colorado as well.
Well, again, Patrick, we appreciate it. We're excited for a successful season. Hopefully you can make it out to a game. Got a hot dog with your name on it.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Casey, for joining us.
You got it, man. Go Owls.
All right, Northern Colorado Owlz getting it started tonight. Rockies are getting it started at 6:40 p.m. Eury Pérez, 20 years old. Unbelievable. He goes against Austin Gomber, looking to bounce back after a not so good start, but he's been great before that going into this one tonight. So this has been obviously very momentous of a podcast on the day after the Nuggets go to their first ever NBA Finals. But as super producer Yahir knows, your momentum is only as good as your next show. Follow us on Twitter at DNVR_Rockies, at Patrick D. Lyons is where I'm at. Join us tomorrow at 1 p.m. right here live on the DNVR Sports channel, live on YouTube.